Hello and welcome to our comparison of the reality check to the Nova. This one will feature both Angel and James. I'm going to try something a little different this time. Rather than jumping right into the deep end like usual, I'm just going to play some ball reaction first and let your eyes do the work, see what they see, and then we'll pick it up in a minute and talk about it. Let's look at the tech first. They're both Asyms, they're both hybrid, and the core numbers are virtually identical. 249 RG and 052 differential for both balls and 15 pounds. The only difference is the split or intermediate differential, and even then, the Nova's 019, the check is 018, which is for all intents and purposes completely negligible. The difference is in the cover formula. As I put the next slide up, the check is S84 beta, which is tied with the S84 response cover on the other two realities for the strongest formula that Global currently uses, and R2X on the Nova is in the bottom half of Storm's cover strengths. For reference, R2X is about equal to Global's S72/S72R cover, while S84 beta falls somewhere among Storm's top 4 strongest covers. This ends up producing a fairly significant traction difference, while the different core shapes, despite nearly identical numbers, help contribute to different ball motions. Layout photos and numbers will be in the sidebar as we watch the ball reaction. Looking at Angel first, once again we're here at Royal Crest Lanes in Lawrence, Kansas. We'll be on the house shot, starting with the reality check. The check has a clean and very readable look. And when bowlers say clean, they usually mean easy down the lane. It means they don't have to fight the ball for length, it kind of glides most of the way down the lane. When they say readable, it means that what the ball is doing is very obvious. It's very clear when the check is skidding, and it's very clear when it's hooking or responding. So as you can see, it's easy down the lane and visually defined when it starts to hook. Switching to the Nova, from where Angel normally starts, they don't look terribly different. They're virtually on top of each other. The Nova is a tiny bit earlier and definitely smoother. It's not as defined. The biggest difference then is friction response. The check hits friction and checks or moves. The Nova hits friction and then has a more gradual motion on the back end. It hits friction and turns, but starts walking up rather than taking off. Now, at first glance, the traction or hook differences don't seem to exist despite the check cover formula being a fair amount stronger. Now, going back to the check and moving in a little, this is where the differences start showing up. When you move left on a house shot, as I pop the graph up here, you increase angle, but you also increase oil volume quite a bit. Lots of oil on the inside and not a lot of oil on the outside, and this is why transition on a house shot can really mess people up. When the ball starts hooking more, they move left. Then they get over-under, where the ball either hooks a million or does nothing. You're moving from extreme dry to extreme oil, and those two are side by side. The actual strength of the check is shown here as it still digs in and pulls up. How easy it is down the lane can be tricky on the eyes. It can make it look like it hooks less than it actually does. Back to the Nova, when Angel moves in with it, it slows down quite a bit more than the check, and that's how you can see the difference. Lots of balls look very similar on a house shot. You can throw an Infinite Physics next to a Nova, next to a Wolverine Dark Moss, next to a Hustle Camo, and you may not see much of a difference and might even see some extra ball motion out of the weaker stuff because of the abundance of friction that's on most house shots. However, when you get into oil, that's when you see what a ball's all about. The check still corners. The Nova doesn't quite have the same teeth, so the torque from the core still helps it out and gets it there, but it doesn't quite have the conviction that the check does. The Nova is a great option on the fresh for strength, stability, control, and blend. The check can be used on the fresh, but because it's easier up front and sharper down lane, it can be a little sensitive or jumpy on the fresh. With more shape and more strength, in typical reality line form, it seems to be more comfortable with more angle inside where the volume is higher and where it can cover boards and really put that extra strength to use. To further expand on these points, we'll bring James in now, and we're going to start with the Nova. Going strongest to weakest isn't always a thing. Sometimes it's about blend and shape. While the check is more comfortable from deeper angles, especially for James, starting at 4th arrow isn't always the smartest thing to do right out of the gate. The Nova is strong enough, plus again, very stable, very blendy, so a lot of times the smart thing to do is to start further right with a medium strength stable ball to control the shape on the fresh. Looking at the check now, he can make it work from straighter for him anyways, but sharp eyes will see it trying to start hooking earlier, but his higher speed helps to keep the ball online. A good portion of the time on house shots, the mistake people make is to both move deeper and ball down. When the track starts to burn or the ball starts to hook more, again, when you move inside, you're adding angle and getting into a much heavier volume of oil, so it makes more sense to ball up when you move left. The check is the perfect example here, stronger cover and more friction response than the Nova, so it's at home with more oil and more angle. Moving back to the Nova, when he tried to move in with it, it was too responsive to the dry and too slow if he kept it in the oil. As we keep watching, he can make it work, but physically forcing something to work and being comfortable with the correct ball for the situation are two different things. Pros or better bowlers always chase their A game or best case scenario. They find a weakness, good ball reaction, lots of miss room, or find a way to do what they're best at doing and exploit it. James is great at getting deep and playing a lot of lane. The check allows him to do that very comfortably once the lanes start to transition, so while the Nova was the best choice for the fresh and straighter angles, the check is the best choice for getting deep and sending it. As we watch him continue to chase it left, if you like their jerseys, Rosdahl 10 gets you 10% off your order at checkout at CoolWick. The code's in the description to copy and paste. Follow my Bowler's Mart link in the description for your bowling needs. That associates your purchases with me, which helps me out quite a bit. Plus, I earn 5% commission if you use my link, so thanks for using that. Check out the SRGBBFS group on Facebook for all things SPI, and of course, thanks to Turbo and especially Storm for keeping us in equipment to show off to everyone. Also, the new Super Thanks button below the video on the line with the like and share buttons allows you to leave me a tip. Other than that, you should really watch my reality check review and follow the instructions for a chance to win one before time runs out. Despite general similarity at basic surface value, the reality check is a step up from the Nova in terms of both hook and shape, plus they both shape differently. The check is a clean and defined arc, while the Nova is a blendy, even rolling ball that hits the friction and rolls rather than booms. Big shout out and major thanks to all my Patreon subs and my great Discord community that I don't talk about or thank nearly enough. Thank you for watching, and may the strikes be with you.